Life is full of distractions, setbacks, and challenges, but how you handle them determines who you will become. One of the strongest things you can build is the power to be like nothing has an impact on you, to stay calm, centered, and unflappable regardless of what comes your way. This is not about ignoring reality. It is about mastering yourself so completely that circumstances cannot control your state of mind. The greatest battles we face are not outside of us, but within. Our emotions are powerful forces. Anger, fear, joy, sadness, doubt, excitement, all of them shape the way we act, the way we speak, and the way we experience life. Left unmanaged, emotions can dictate our actions, fog our minds, and have us make choices we come to regret. But when we master them, emotions become instruments of power, leading us toward clarity, strength, and achievement. To master your emotions before they master you is to command the inner world, to transcend knee-jerk responses, and to live intentionally rather than in chaos. Consider how many individuals sabotage possibilities just because they are unable to rein in their anger. An insult uttered in anger, a reckless choice made in pride, or a quarrel fueled by ego. These are the signs of an individual controlled by emotion. Or think of the individual that is crippled by fear, afraid to make a risk, afraid to chase dreams, watching chances slip away because doubt has bound their potential. These illustrations reveal how feelings, if not controlled, become prisons which imprison us. The individual who cannot control feelings cannot manage life. Mastering emotions doesn't involve shutting them down or ignoring them. Suppression breeds pressure, and pressure will ultimately burst. Masterhood is awareness, control, and redirecting. It is seeing the wave of anger building within you and not letting it control your speech. It is feeling fear and yet moving forward with bravery. It is seeing sadness and not falling into despair. Emotional masterhood is not about eradicating feelings, but rather about making certain that feelings work for you rather than against you. One of the most valuable skills that you can acquire is the pause, the power to create space between response and stimulus. When something occurs that makes you angry, most individuals respond immediately. They lash out, withdraw, or panic. But the individual who pauses, even for a couple of seconds, has the power of choice. Within the pause, you can weigh, is this worth my energy? Is this worth harming my peace? Is there a better response that will serve me in the long run? That pause is the doorway to mastery. When you master emotions, you also develop respect, not only for yourself, but also from others. Naturally, people trust those who keep their heads in the midst of turmoil. They aspire to those who don't break under pressure. A leader who can't handle himself can't lead, but a leader who masters emotions inspires. Even in intimate relationships, emotional mastery establishes harmony because conflicts no longer blow up into devastation. You become an anchor instead of a storm. And then directly associated with this is the concept of response, not reaction. Reaction is automatic. It is immediate, raw, and frequently destructive. Response, however, is purposeful, reflective, and constructive. To react is to be a slave to the moment. To respond is to be the master of it. If someone insults you, the natural response is anger or revenge. But an answer can be silence, a gentle word, or even a smile. The difference is not in the circumstance, but in the decision. Responses are ego-driven. Answers are wisdom-guided. Responses fuel conflict. Answers diffuse it. Responses make you predictable. Answers make you strong. To learn to respond rather than react, one has to practice mindfulness. You have to know your triggers, those situations that trigger you. It can be criticism, disrespect, failure, or uncertainty. If you know your triggers, then you can prepare yourself beforehand. You will not be caught unaware. You will be centered and ready to respond with power. This awareness changes the way you work with challenges. For instance, suppose a person experiences rejection. A response can be self-pity or outrage. Why me? This is not fair. But a response is, what am I to learn from this? How can I do better next time? That change of attitude makes all the difference. Reactions hold you back. Responses propel you ahead. Reacting rather than responding also saves your energy. Every reaction takes away your mental and emotional power, leaving you drained and unfocused. But when you respond intelligently, You save your energy for what is truly important, your goals, your progress, your inner peace. This is why people who respond rather than react appear more calm, confident, and in control. They are not frittering away energy on every small tempest. They are moving steadily towards their port. The difference between reacting and responding is also the difference between being controlled and being in control. If someone can provoke you into anger, they control you. If circumstances can throw you into panic, they control you. But if you can remain calm and respond with intention, you reclaim control over your life. Acting as if nothing affects you does not mean you are cold or indifferent. It means you're strong enough to decide your own mindset no matter what happens. Coupled together, learning to control your emotions and being able to respond rather than react create the core of impenetrable strength. Emotions can surge, but they don't dictate you. Situations can incite, but they don't determine you. You live from the inside out, led by vision, discipline, and clarity. This is the essence of emotional mastery, the ability to act as if nothing affects you, because in truth, nothing outside has the power to control you unless you allow it. When you live these principles day by day, life is transformed. Conflicts that once threatened to overwhelm you lose their hold. Criticism that once hurt you become catalysts for growth. Failures that once defeated you become lessons that make you stronger. Rather than being tossed on every wave, you become the master of your vessel, sailing steadily toward your calling. This is the power respected in leaders, emulated in warriors, and valued in those who live peacefully and powerfully. Napoleon Hill wrote once that domination of self is the highest power. And it's a fact. Control your feelings prior to them controlling you, and you will never again be a victim of fate. Act instead of reacting, and you will stroll through existence untouched, respected, and unbeatable. That's around 1,000 words, developing keynotes 1 and 2 into a motivational voiceover-ready script. Would appreciate it if you just continue to develop the same 1,000-word extensions for the other 8 keynotes so that you have a whole series of long-form content like we did for Napoleon Hill's PMA principle. You stated exam keynote 3 and 4 into 1,000 words. ChatGPT replied, "Excellent. Let's develop keynote 3. Break free from negativity and criticism, and keynote 4, keep your cool under pressure, into a 1,000-word motivational monologue expressed in a seamless, flowing narrative without titles. Negativity is all around us everywhere, in the media, on social media, at the workplace, and even at times in our own homes. Criticism, either constructive or devastating, is something nobody can avoid. But the key to strength is detachment, the capacity to stand above criticism and negative attitudes without allowing them to contaminate your peace of mind. Detachment does not imply that you cease to care. It does not mean that you bury your head in the sand. It means you will not allow hurting words, destructive attitudes, and disheartening energy to enter your inner world. Once you master detachment, you become free. The majority of people are captives of negativity. They let one bad remark spoil an entire day. They let criticism, usually from someone who has never accomplished anything of value, undermine their confidence. They bear grudges and resentment from others' opinions, allowing strangers and naysayers to control their fate. But those who become detached end this pattern. They know that negativity says more about the person who generates it than the person it is aimed at. They know that criticism is unavoidable, but suffering is not. Detachment is a choice. It is a choice to prioritize your peace over others' approval. When someone unfairly criticizes you, detachment murmurs, "This does not define me. This is not my truth." When life offers negativity in terms of failure, delay, or disappointment, detachment says, "This is temporary. This does not define my future." The most successful people in history were put down, doubted, and frequently ridiculed. But they refused to carry the burden of negativity in their hearts. They kept going, kept creating, kept believing. The power of detachment also resides in perspective. Most negativity is minor, transient, and inconsequential in the grand scheme of life. 10 years later, will someone's criticism matter? Will one moment's negativity stop you? Nearly always, the answer is no. Detachment teaches you to zoom out, look beyond the din of the moment, and concentrate on the road ahead. It is not the lack of criticism that characterizes the strong, it is their capacity to stride unscathed through it. Side by side with detachment goes the strength of calmness under stress. Stress is life. The burden of duties, the pressure of deadlines, the ambiguity of the future, these forces push against us all. But whereas pressure breaks the weak, it molds the strong. To be calm under pressure is to be centered when others are panicked, to think when others are clouded by stress, and to act when others are paralyzed through fear. Calmness under pressure is not born. It is learned through training. It starts with the mind. Much of what we refer to as pressure does not originate in the reality itself, but in the way that we interpret it. Two individuals are confronted with the same challenge. One breaks, the other triumphs. It is not a difference in challenge, but one of perception. The non-anxious individual thinks, this is a problem to solve, while the anxious individual thinks, this is the end. Controlling your thoughts, you control your reaction, and controlling your reaction, you control the result. Breathing, concentration, and perspective are calmness tools. A breath brings the galloping mind to heel. Concentration keeps the mind focused on solutions, not problems. Perspective assures you that difficulties are not usually permanent. Composure does not ignore hardship, it just won't allow hardship to have mastery. The individual who stays calm under adversity becomes a rock of support for others. During a crisis, human beings turn not to the loudest mouth, but to the most serene presence. Calmness communicates confidence, and confidence inspires trust. When blended together, indifference to negativity and serenity in adversity forge unshakable strength. Negativity cannot penetrate you, and adversity cannot shatter you. You become like a tree planted firmly in the earth. Storms can rattle the limbs, but the roots do not move. People can vilify, but you do not break. Life can push, but you do not fall. You stand tall, not because life is effortless, but because you are resilient. Envision two individuals confronted with the same dilemma. One is surrounded by negativity, criticized by others, and inundated with pressure. They act emotionally, lash out, lose their focus, and ultimately quit. The other has the same dilemma but acts differently. They step away from negativity, refusing to allow it to rob their energy. They remain calm when pressed, maintaining their minds sharp and their actions purposeful. Which of them will thrive? Which one will be respected? Always the second. Not because the journey was shorter, but because their inner strength was stronger. Detachment and calmness also save your health. Stress, anger, and perpetual negativity corrode the body and mind. They destroy the immune system, reduce the lifespan, and deprive you of happiness. Detachment and calmness instead bring equilibrium. They lower stress, conserve energy, and generate mental clarity. Success obtained at the expense of peace is no success at all. True accomplishment is to tread the path of development without losing your center. Calmness and detachment also give you the ability to innovate under pressure. While others are worried, your detached mind visualizes solutions. While others expend energy battling critics, your detached mind puts energy into constructing progress. The world honors those who remain calm when times are tough, because they are those who discover solutions, spark confidence, and lead with force. Finally, negativity and pressure are realities in life. You cannot avoid them, but you can select your reaction to them. You can allow them to undermine you, or you can use them as exercises in mastery. All criticism is an exercise in detachment. Every stressful situation is an opportunity to practice serenity. Each time you pass, you become stronger, more resilient, more unbreakable. Napoleon Hill instructed us that each adversity has within it the seed of equal or greater good. Negativity may be that seed if you are able to learn detachment. Pressure may be that seed if you are able to learn calmness. Rather than being crushed, you may be refined. Rather than being made weak, you may be made strong. And when you learn these things, nothing external to you can disturb the peace within you. So learn to release the negativity and criticism. They are mere white noise, echoes of other people's battles. Learn to remain calm when under pressure. It's transient, yet your inner strength will endure eternally. Combined, these principles provide you with a power few are gifted with. The power to walk through turmoil with peace, to weather storms with grace, and to live as though nothing can shatter you. And when nothing can shatter you, anything is possible. Negativity is all around us on the news, social media, at work, and even in our own homes. Criticism, constructive or destructive, is also something nobody can avoid. But the key to strength is detachment, the power of rising above negativity and criticism without allowing them to taint your peace of mind. Detachment is not the same as not caring or refusing to see reality. Detachment is about refusing to let discouraging words, hurtful attitudes, and negative energy enter your inner space. When you understand detachment, you are free. Most people are captives of the negative. They let one bad word spoil an entire day. They let criticism from individuals who never constructed anything worthwhile kill their confidence. They bear bitterness and resentment from what others think, empowering strangers and skeptics over their fate. But detachment breakers end this pattern. They realize that negativity says more about the person who creates it than about the person to whom it is directed. They know that criticism is unavoidable, but suffering isn't. It is the choice to invest in your peace over other people's approval. When someone unjustly criticizes you, detachment murmurs, "This does not make me, this is not my reality." When existence drops negativity as failure, delay, or disappointment, detachment asserts, "This is a momentary thing. This does not determine my destiny." The world's greatest achievers were criticized, questioned, and frequently mocked, but they refused to burden themselves with negativity in their hearts. They walked, continued to build, continued to believe. The strength of detachment also comes from a matter of perspective. Most negativity is tiny, temporary, and inconsequential when compared to the big picture of life. 10 years down the line, will the word of one person hurt? Will the negativity of 1 second keep you stuck? Nearly always, the answer is no. Detachment teaches you to step back, to look above the din of the moment, and to keep an eye on the road ahead. It's not being free of criticism that marks the strong, it's knowing how to move unscathed through it. Cooled with detachment is the power to remain cool under pressure. Pressure is life, the burden of duty, the pressure of deadlines, the unpredictability of the future. These pressures bear down on each of us. But whereas pressure smothers the unprepared, it molds the resilient. To remain calm under pressure is to maintain balance, while others frantic, to think rationally when others are clouded by anxiety, and to act promptly when others are paralyzed by fear. Pressure calmness is not a born talent, but an acquired skill. It starts in the mind. Much of what we refer to as pressure actually originates not from the reality itself, but from our perception of it. Two individuals can confront the same challenge. One collapses, the other triumphs. The challenge is not different, but how they approach it. The relaxed individual states, "This is a problem to solve," whereas the worried individual states, "This is the end." By managing your thinking, you manage your reaction, and by managing your reaction, you manage the result. Breathing, concentration, and mindset are calmness tools. A deep breath slows an active mind. Concentration maintains attention on solutions instead of problems. Mindset reminds you that difficulties are not necessarily long-term. Calmness does not neglect difficulty. It just doesn't allow difficulty to take control. The individual who stays calm in a time of pressure becomes the pillar for others. During a crisis, not the loudest voice but the calmest presence is where people look for refuge. Calmness speaks confidence, and confidence begets trust. Together, calmness under pressure and detachment from negativity form indestructible resilience. Pressure cannot break you and negativity cannot pierce you. You are like a tree strongly planted in the earth. Storms might shake the branches, but the roots hold. People can criticize, but you don't break down. Life can push, but you don't fold. You rise above not because life is simple, but because you're a stronghold. Visualize two individuals being in the same situation. One is being negative, criticized by colleagues, and put under pressure. They respond emotionally, strike out, lose their concentration, and eventually quit. The other is in the same situation, but responds differently. They release themselves from negativity, so it doesn't rob them of their energy. They remain calm under pressure, maintaining their mind clear and their actions intentional. Who will succeed? Which one will be respected? Always the second. Not because the journey was simpler, but because their inner resilience was higher. The power of detachment and being calm also keeps you healthy. Stress, rage, and ongoing negativity corrode the body and mind. They deteriorate the immune system, reduce the lifespan, and deprive you of happiness. Detachment and calmness, however, restore equilibrium. They diminish stress, conserve energy, and generate clarity of the mind. Achievements made at the expense of peace are no achievements. Real accomplishment is to tread the path of development without sacrificing your sense. Detachment and calmness also give you the power to think outside the box in a crisis. While others are overwhelmed with fear, your tranquil mind identifies solutions. While others spend energy battling critics, your detached mind puts energy into making progress. The world pays you back for remaining calm when it gets tough, as you are the one who discovers solutions, inspires trust, and leads with courage. In the end, pressure and negativity are life constants. You can't avoid them, but you can decide how you react to them. You can allow them to break you, or you can use them as times to practice mastery. Each criticism is a test of detachment. Each stressful situation is an opportunity to practice calmness. With each victory, you become stronger, more resilient, Napoleon Hill had us learn that, with every adversity is the seed of equal or greater good. Negativity may be that seed if you learn detachment. Pressure may be that seed if you learn calmness. Rather than be crushed, you can be polished. Rather than be weakened, you can be made strong. And with these qualities you develop, nothing external to you can disturb the peace within you. So learn to let go of criticism and negativity. They are merely noise, echoes of others' battles. Learn to remain calm when you are under pressure. It is temporary, but your strength endures forever. Together these values bestow in you a power possessed by very few. The power of walking through storms with peace, of weathering tempests with dignity, and of living as if nothing can shatter you. And when nothing is going to shatter you, anything can happen. Life is full of things that are not in our power. The behavior of others, the economy, the climate, surprise delays, all of these are forces we have no control over. And yet most people squander vast amounts of time and energy fretting over these uncontrollable elements. They worry about what other people think, gripe about what other people do, despair over situations they can't alter. The outcome is frustration, helplessness, and a life spent worrying. The secret to strength is redirecting focus, to cease investing energy in things you cannot change, and direct your energy to what you can. What you can control are your attitude, effort, decisions, words and action. You may not control if someone criticizes you, but you can control whether you listen to them or turn a deaf ear. You may not control if the storms come, but you can control how you prepare for them and how you survive. You may not control if the world is just, but you can control your resolve to rise above injustice. This is the heart of personal power, channeling your energy into what you can reach and releasing what is outside of it. Picture holding on to a rope attached to a boulder. You tug and tug, but the boulder doesn't budge because it was not supposed to. You exhaust all your energy, but if you turn around, you can see tools, paths or opportunities that you can use to push on. The boulder symbolizes things you have no control over. The tools symbolize things that you do. The wise one lets go of the rope and puts energy into the tools, whereas the foolish one wears themselves out struggling against an unmovable object. This change of focus also liberates you from avoidable suffering. Most of the hurt individual's experience is not brought about by reality itself, but by resistance to reality. When they are unable to control something, they resist it, complain about it, and ruminate on it, and thus the pain gets magnified. But when you embrace what you cannot control and shift your attention, you achieve peace and productivity. You no longer become a victim of circumstance, but become the master of your response. And it is within that reaction where growth occurs. Obstacles will always be part of life. There will be failed plans, closed doors, disappointment from people, but every obstacle has a secret advantage to it. To the complainer, obstacles are roadblocks. To the one who has a direction and focuses on what is within control, obstacles are disguised opportunities. Making obstacles opportunities is one of the best success secrets. History is replete with instances of individuals who were confronted by insurmountable challenges, but made them stepping stones. A business failure became the lesson that gave rise to a stronger business. A failure personally became the learning experience that honed character. A rejection became the stimulus to produce something remarkable. Obstacles are not the end. They are the raw material from which victories are constructed. Think of the tale of an inventor who had experiments go wrong 1,000 times. Most would have regarded those disappointments as causes to give up, but he regarded every failure as feedback, every barrier as a mentor, one who led him closer to the innovation that would revolutionize the world. That is what distinguishes the vanquished from the triumphant. The barrier doesn't determine your fate, your translation and reaction. When you face an obstacle, you have two options. Perceive it as a wall or perceive it as a door. The wall mentality is, this is impossible. I cannot proceed. The doorway mentality is, this obstacle holds the solution to my next level. The one who perceives a wall quits. The one who perceives a doorway persists until they discover a way around. The distinction is one of outlook, and outlook is always under your control, emphasizing exclusively what you can control and framing obstacles as opportunities are twin principles that work in tandem with each other. The moment you prevent wastage of energy on what you cannot do anything about, you have more power to cope with what you can, and whenever obstacles rise, you apply that power not to grumble but to adjust, improvise and overcome. Rather than why me, you say, watch. Rather than this is too difficult, you say, this is the training ground for my greatness. Pressure turns into practice. Criticism turns into fuel. Delays turn into preparation. Setbacks turn into setups for comebacks. This is not idealism. It is the thinking of champions. Each great success story is founded upon obstacles turned into opportunity. The storm that breaks some makes others stronger. The mountain that hinders some constructs others. The distinction is made through focus. When you live by these values, others will take note. They will observe that you are not easily fazed by challenges. They will ask themselves why you do not fritter away time on matters that are outside your control. They will admire the manner in which you keep calm and composed when others lose their heads, and you will be a model of resilience, not because life is simpler for you, but because you decide to look at it differently. This way of thinking also creates resilience in the long term. Every time you encounter a barrier and you make it an opportunity, you become strong. Every time you release what is not yours to control, you regain your energy. Over the long term, this builds into unbreakable confidence. You no longer dread challenges, for you know that they have hidden treasure. You no longer dread the unknown, for you know that you can and will get through whatever comes. That is real freedom, not freedom from issues, but freedom from being controlled by them. Ultimately, life is not a matter of avoiding challenges or mastering everything around you. It is a matter of focusing your attention and controlling your reaction. What you can't control, release. What you can control, do your best. And when challenges arise, refuse to view them as endings. View them as beginnings. This is how regular people do great things, with no expectation of perfect circumstances, but by molding greatness from imperfection, not by dodging difficulties, but by embracing them. The power is yours at all times. Pay attention to what you can control only. Make every obstacle an opportunity, and observe as life itself curves in your direction. For nothing, neither circumstance, nor criticism, nor setbacks, can hinder a person who won't be deterred. Resilience of the mind is not constructed in ease. It is not constructed by accident. It is constructed by discipline. The everyday decisions to do the right thing rather than the easy thing, to remain consistent when emotions fluctuate, and to remain dedicated when temptations show up. Mental resilience is the armor of the strong, and discipline is the forge in which that armor is crafted. Without discipline, the mind becomes fragile, easily broken by setbacks, and seduced by distraction. With discipline, the mind becomes unshakable, capable of withstanding storms and continuing forward when others quit. Discipline begins in the small things, getting up at the hour you resolve to rise, doing the work even when you don't want to, keeping your promise even when nobody sees. These tiny things are not small things. They are the bricks of character. Every time you exercise discipline over ease, you build your will. Every time you get control over your impulses, you condition your mind to follow your higher purpose instead of your transitory emotion. The disciplined individual does not wait for motivation. They get things done, no matter what mood they're in, because they know that discipline produces results, and results produce motivation. Inconsistency governs the lives of others, but the disciplined move steadily forward. Progress may be slow when it happens, but it is relentless, and it is this consistency that generates resiliency. the capacity to continue on despite fatigue, uncertainty, or defeat. Emotional strength also originates from confronting adversity head-on. Discipline requires that you do not flee from hardship, but utilize it as training. When you discipline your mind to accept discomfort, you find fortitude you never knew existed.